They
They make
the
your alphabet.
They make the alphabet, yes. And so what that is,
B, C, D,
exactly.
F, G,
So now here, let me tell you,
H, I.
this is the Skywalker Science now, all right, very important. So now there's a secret to propulsion in there as well. But in order to understand that, we need to understand how to cast a spell. This is the next question for Lyra.
Aww.
Lyra, what does it mean to cast a spell?
I just want to be behind the camera and mum
There's
my
different
place. I
ways
can do
to
other
cast
questions.
spells.
Go ahead, speak loudly.
Well, there's different ways to cast spells and different emotions, different feelings, different things to cast them.
Yeah.
But the main thing you need to cast a spell is
A wand.
Oh.
no. Orion, a wand is just the piece of magic. Without you, your wand wouldn't work.
Really?
Which
you
is-
know, a
you're-
wand actually
she's
lets transfer the magic inside of you into
That's
something
good.
that it can be used on the outside
Well,
world
that's
and
your
seen by
opinion.
others.
No, Orion, Lyra was getting very close because Orion was saying inside you, what she meant was the pure intention.
Yes.
Yes, which is actually what causes your inner donut to implode and gather charge. Well, it turns out that when you cast a spell, I'm going to show you this, the Skywalker secret of casting spells, the Skywalker secret of casting a spell. When you cast a spell, what happens is the electric field called the charged donut around your optical cortex, your upper brain, is just a donut. That's what it is. It's called the holographic brain.
Wait, before we go on, can you choose to if your donut has sprinkles and chocolate sauce on it?
Oh, actually, the thing is, you can actually fire these donuts in very specific directions, just like Luke Skywalker. But in order to... Exactly. But in order to do that, to get them to fire in the right direction, you use something called the sacred alphabet. So if you can...
A,
if you,
B, C, D,
Yes,
E,
Orion, you can choose.
Exactly. And so if you focus in your mind, and this is the next Skywalker Science secret, is the ability to hold just one letter at a time in your mind. This is the tricky part now. So supposing you want, now that we know that the sacred letters, Hebrew and Sanskrit, are just angles to tilt donuts, called electric charge field domains, like Dominus Vobiscum, God, Dominus to domain. Well, if you want to fire your domain, which is actually to shoot your cannons, you know, if you want to fire your magnetic donuts, you have to be able to get them at very specific angles. And so what you do is you use the Skywalker. There's something called, this is I have 5 secrets of Skywalker Science in here, and one of them is called the Skywalker muscle. Do you know what the Skywalker muscle is?
No, I don't know what half the stuff is.
Is it like the thing
This,
that,
I was just playing with it when you said that. I was picking it up and I was like, woo, coincidence.
Wait. Go ahead, Lyra.
is it like the thing that binds all magical things or luminescence or things like that together?
Ah, very close. Lyra is so good here. It's just, she's saying, is it that which binds all that stuff together? Well, actually, the Skywalker muscle is something very specific. Let me explain, Orion. This is. I have another question for you, Orion. Okay, sorry, Orion. What happens to you if you look in your mobile phone too much time? Yes, go ahead, Lyra.
You
Mike.
get eye pain and a headache and
Not eye pain, just I can't handle sunlight.
your eyes get dry and irritated.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you happen to get your eyes wet again, you blink.
Okay, but actually,
But I'm-
there's a deeper problem here. And this is the deeper problem we need to talk with Orion here. We're having a discussion with Orion right now about the Skywalker muscle. The problem is, the science is that unfortunately, if you spend too much time in front of your mobile phone, you lose the Skywalker muscle. Now that's strange, isn't it? But let me explain the physics. The physics is contained in something called a net of fireflies. So inside your head, all these things called synapses are firing and they make little spark gaps. Do you know what a spark gap is?
No.
It's a gap that holds a spark. Very simple.
Self-explanatory.
Thank you. So if you take this net of fireflies and you can cause the fireflies in the net to converge and make a tornado, to make a tornado happen inside the light, inside your head, what that means is that you can form an image in your head. So the ability to form an image in your head takes a certain inner muscle. And it turns out that particularly with young children in the Steiner School anthroposophy, they says between about 7 and 14, if the young people spend too much time in front of equipment like your mobile phone, is it iPhone 5? Yes. When it focuses, when it makes the image for you, and something outside you is making the picture for you all the time, you lose a certain muscle inside called the Skywalker muscle. Now, in order to test whether or not you have a Skywalker muscle, do you know there's a test?
Oh.
Yes, I will tell you the test.
Not that kind of test.
No, let me explain. It's actually a fun
Maths
test.
tests are enough.
No, it's a fun test. Here's the way they do it. They do it in the Steiner schools all the time. So the children get there, like Lyra, and Lyra is very good at drawing, aren't you, Lyra? Right? So here's what they do. They draw a picture of the 7 stages of the opening of a rose. One step with very careful detail. They draw each picture of how a rose unpacks. And then, once the children have made the pictures very accurate, very sharp and clear, then the children learn to focus their eyes and use something science calls the Skywalker muscle, which is this ability to implode the net of fireflies and form a picture inside your head. So actually, Orion, could you do this now for me, please? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay. Now see if you can form a picture of a rose inside your head. Actually make the picture happen. Put the light together. Bring the little net of fireflies dots. Yes, bring them together. And now the rose is starting to open. Can you see it?
No, I can't see the rose at all. I'm just trying to get past all the crazy stuff that's already in my mind. I've got like 15 million layers of creepy stuff that's in my mind.
Oh dear. How
Just
are you
digging through that.
Get to the stillness now.
15 shovels just broke.
Okay, if you get to the stillness,
Breathe.
I start seeing it. Okay.
you see it?
Good shine.
Can you see the rose?
No, not yet.
Breathe.
I'm starting to see
Make the
petals.
rose, put the light together, the little dots of light, use the Skywalker muscle, and put the dots of light, bring them together to focus, and now the flower is starting to open. Is it?
Yes.
Is the flower opening?
Yes.
You're making the flower open?
Yes.
Good. Now,
Close
Lyra,
again now. Yay. Open, close. Open,
Lyra,
close, open, open,
can
open,
you
close,
do
open,
you
close,
smell
open,
something
close,
now?
open, open, close.
Yeah.
what do you smell?
I smell that too.
Pardon?
Pollen.
Pollen.
It smells like pollen.
Yeah.
I smell something a little. Okay, so the reason you smell.
I'm gonna imagine Xenos.
Actually, no, I smell that too.
See that?
Yeah.
So this is the test. This is the test in the biodynamic school. Is that if you make the rose with clear enough intention, the test, you pass the test if the room fills with the smell of roses.
Wow, well done, Orion.
That's
I've got an idea.
What's your
I'm gonna
idea?
call the end of the world. I'm gonna imagine xenomorphs.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yes, they're coming
No.
straight away because they're like the
No,
top of my mind.
Orion.
we need to finish the story.
They stop smelling like roses.
Yes. You see,
So, if Orion were dreaming about the Orion Wars, and Lyra and I are very sensitive to that, would that cause physical pain?
well, I suppose it could, because we're all
By the way,
processing
the
that.
person asking these questions is the camera lady.
Yeah, really. Yes. And
Guys,
so
guys,
we're,
do anybody else smell burning?
oh, see now, see, we talked about the Orion Wars dream, and now Orion is spelling burning. Good.
No, it's just blood, xeno equal acid,
Okay.
spray acid,
But
burning.
I'd like to hear Dion's answer.
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah.
Orion.
No, but so this is a very good point that Avi brings up. Is that
I'm gonna imagine flowers again.
Orion.
Yeah, visual. That's good. Good work.
Thank you.
So, the ability to make the rose blossom inside creates the smell of roses quite literally. Is because the flowering brain, the surface, it creates the infrared, which, as Callahan proved, is the real physics of olfaction. So you can see a hummingbird crash into the window if someone inside the building is having bliss, even if the building is sealed, because the smell went through the window because it's infrared. But Avi's question more specifically is, how do we collectively process our ancestral history in the Orion Wars? Because if we're dreaming about this together, we can do what's called family constellation therapy, And the family in this case is the family of Orion and the family of Lyra, who is united in the family of Ave, which is which is the breath of heaven. No, so we're doing family constellation therapy for the ancient Orion history. Well,
Wow, and their father is Luke.
and they're falling asleep. Yes, so
No,
we have to.
I said father is Luke.
And their father is Luke.
Yeah.
That's in Luke's side. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah.
Thank you. So now we have to finish our Orion War story here. The other thing we're pointing upon is that there's a famous physicist who has proved the physics behind the Skywalker muscle. And that guy is named Bill Tiller, a famous physicist who wrote a book, Conscious Acts of Creation, in which he proved that focused human attention causes electric fields to implode, to compress like a rose, actually. So the physics has proven that focused human attention makes the Skywalker muscle. But now we just need to figure out how to teach the kids that, and the kids are named Orion and Lyra. So now we're getting to the last secrets of the Skywalker Science. Can I tell you the last secrets? These are the final secrets to Skywalker Science. And and the last secret is called it's called May the Planck be with you. And what happened is because in all the universe for 1,000 light years in all directions there's something called the Planck length and time. And it turns out that if you take Hermes caduceus, which is called phase conjugation, down to a certain length called Planck length and time, and develop the musical key signature for all of matter, you can send the pine cones kissing noses to send inertia down through the Planck constant. And it develops a frequency signature. And that frequency signature is on the cover of my book. May the Planck be with you. The origins of biologic negentropy. And the equation there, simple powers of Planck times golden ratio, whole number integer exponents, golden ratio times Planck, create the wavelengths of photosynthesis, 3 radii of hydrogen, ADP, the Earth year, Venus year, galactic year, precession year, everything implosive and negentropic by one frequency signature. Which brings us back to the Skywalker muscle.
I want to put this on.
One more question before you can play with it. Did you know that if you take the fluorescent light and the Wi-Fi out of a children's classroom, you can measure a dramatic increase in attention span? Did you know that? Why is the question. Do you know why?
Kids Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi.
No. Do you know what attention span is?
No.
Abby's laughing.
Well, I have attention span to my imagination, and the attention span gets less towards the teacher and more towards what's happening a miles away.
Actually, you have incredible focus when you apply it.
There you go. See, Abby said the right thing. So remember, the Skywalker muscle develops when you can hold in your attention one thing at a time, because it causes the net of fireflies to start imploding. And that's the physics of creation, which you lose if all the time you're looking outside you for the creation physics, which is called a priest, which is saying God is outside you, which is your shaman saying God is inside you, which is actually Lucifer, who said you too can be God, who's also Enki. So do you see how the story fits together?
Oh my gosh, you could just summed it up and said a bunch of people said the opposite things and end up in the same thing.
But we need to understand why the wrong frequencies in the fluorescent light and in the Wi-Fi, it destroyed attention.
Boy.
It did it because it didn't fit the frequency recipe of the caduceus called fractal field Hermit phase conjugation. Hermes caduceus. So
that's why nobody in my class pays attention.
So when you tune those frequencies correctly, called May the Planck be with you, what you get is a field that implodes, and that's how we build things called Prairie, Therify.net, and Plasma that heals. So that's one of the principles of Skywalker Science, is May the Planck be with you. The other principle is called Skywalker muscle. The other principle is called propulsion. We didn't finish propulsion. You see, when this spiral is on this torus, let's just see if we can finish that thought. What happens is called translation of vorticity, which means that the charge going down that spiral that made the alphabet inside your brain, when it goes out the center, it takes what's called a transverse to a longitudinal or scalar or compressional or magic wave. And that implosion causes this donut to squirt. It's actually the physics of propulsion. Have you ever heard of something called the Vimana in the Vedas, which was a craft in the Vedas that flew? It used that principle of a liquid that went in a spiral.
So that's how UFOs work.
Really?
Yes.
So can we make one?
Yes, that's how the UFOs. That was also called the Nazi bell. They simply used the spiral down the torus in a fluid hydrodynamically to create propulsion. And so this is actually a way to cast a spell. And Lyra, we wanted to finish. Remember we asked you about casting a spell? So if
You go back.
if you we're almost. So if you take this donut and you hold it in your attention and then you close your eyes, do you remember there was someone called the horse whisperer? Do you know how the horse whisperer did it?
Yes.
Go ahead,
I
tell
would
us.
say I think I do.
Go ahead, tell us how the horse whisperer did it.
Well, in taking exactly how it acts and trying to feel into the creature,
It was horse telepathy, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So the trick was to hold the focus in your mind, hold the picture in your mind clearly long enough so that the horse could see the picture you had in your head. The rules was it had to be a very simple picture, and the other rule was that you had to hold that image in your focus, your Skywalker muscle, long enough. And the next step was to stomp your foot and release the picture, and then the horse would get the picture, and that was called horse telepathy, and it works very, very well. Well, it turns out the same applies to casting a spell. If you hold the donut in your field, in your mind long enough, and then you release it, so for example, the Ophanim, the angel rituals, they hold these donuts in their mind, and they cause them to implode. And when the donuts converge on each other, they implode, and they change the air pressure in the room. It's like, you know how they say that you could blow the doors off a church? What they really mean was that you can change the air pressure in a room with the ritual because the plasma domains are imploding.
So basically, we could kill everybody in the room if there was no air coming in and out.
Actually, what you could do is you could cause roses to grow faster. You could cause plant growth to increase.
I could cause Wi-Fi to expand faster. I could make 4G appear.
You could increase.
Actually, you can affect 4G and Wi-Fi, absolutely.
Yeah,
I make it 5G.
well,
But you can also do spooky things like when you don't have
Camera
Wi-Fi,
laser
the
speaker.
signal still goes through. But it's about the focus of your intention or focusing your intention.
Thank you, Avi. Yes, and in fact, we have measured now. You'll see at Therify.net, Patrick, our programmer, clearly measured. We put the plasma on Therify.net, and we measured before and after the amount of electrosmog in the room, and the electrosmog is reduced. The harmonics that are healthy because the plasma imploded and it cleared the space. So it's actually that's one of the Skywalker principles. So the last principle of the Skywalker science that we haven't done yet is called Skywalker hygiene.
Ooh. We're very big on hygiene. We're very big on hygiene. Let's have our hygiene conversation.
Yeah, look, so what do you think Skywalker hygiene is?
Is it a different force in
Force.
Is it a different force in feeling, for example, light, darkness, and
Playing with
that,
technology.
that force increases?
That's right, exactly. I think Lyra's got it, actually. That what happens is that everything you do every day, the simple question you ask yourself, is this going to make my aura bigger or smaller? It turns out that that's measurable. It's sometimes called may the force be with you. Or may the plot be with you. It's the same thing. So,
Make your brain.
how would you, supposing you were walking into a food store and you were picking what food to eat, how would you do it?
By looking at it and thinking, is that enough?
No, it's...
No, it's different. It depends.
So
who
grabbing
you
everything
are,
and running
but
off?
Normally,
Something.
you would try to find the different heat.
Actually, what you're trying to find is you're trying to find food that has charge, right? Actually, it turns out that there's a trick to doing that. You walk up to the piece of broccoli, and you get very close, and you whisper to the broccoli. You say, "When was the last time you felt genetic diversity?" And you listen. and what?
And it says,
Do you see? Do you see? Do you know why genetic diversity is the opposite of GMO?
Why?
In science, it's called harmonic inclusiveness. It just means the number of musical notes that are included. Well, if you have genetic diversity, that's called harmonic inclusive, and that actually creates how medical doctors measure electrically whether you have an immune system. You measure harmonic inclusiveness and heart rate variability, your heart harmonics, and that simply tells you whether it's going to live or die. That's well known for people. It's medical, proven HRV. But it turns out it's true of broccoli and galaxies and babies and atoms and star systems too.
So basically, you just sing to it.
Well, basically what you're checking, you see, remember, do you know that in the Hopi, there's a certain kind of blue corn that would only germinate if you sang to it. You had to sing the right song and do the right dance. And the DNA, the blood in the corn actually hears the music and germinates. So the corn was actually like the pet puppy dog of the family. And it's been in the family for 1,000 generations, and you sing to it, and then it knows to grow. Well, this is called really smart DNA. Unfortunately, today,
We don't have it.
after that's right. After monoculture, the corn has lost genetic diversity. So the reason you get mucus when you eat corn, or like wheat, is the monoculture, because the DNA has been put in jail with monoculture, and that's angry DNA. When you eat angry DNA, like pizza,
My stomach gets angry.
what happened when you ate pizza?
You had
My
tummy
gut had a temper tantrum.
Your gut had it, exactly.
It
So,
involved nuclear. It went nuclear.
yeah, that's right. So,
like McDonald's.
that's like
Good food.
Don't.
And see, this is actually part of the story, that the oil in the fries and the Coca-Cola is the perfect meal for a Draco Nephilim, because they had phosphorus in their blood, they had lipid for blood, and their dragon breath was cyanogen. So the perfect meal if you're the fallen Draco, unfortunately, is French fries and fried food. Whereas the perfect meal for a Skywalker, called the Skywalker hygiene, is you whisper to the DNA, to the blood, to the life force in the food, and if it whispers back to you, you know there's genetic diversity and fractal field in the food, like fractal broccoli, etc., etc. So eventually you learn that everything you do in your life, the shape of your yoga, your tai chi, everything you do that attracts charge, actually allows your Jed to grow, and then you become a Jedi. And that's the happily ever after.
Yeah. For example, a
That's
Jedi.
how people walk around.
Speak louder. Go
For
ahead.
example, a Jedi has the Force in Star Wars, and the Force is just a electric and magnetic wave.
When you're
coming
going chair
from
there.
your chi.
Okay.
That's right. It's a charge field thing, and it's
Orion.
And if you grow your Ka, your charge field, your Jed, strong enough, then you take that and you can lucid dream, you can go through the sun, and you take memory through death.
Yes.
Thank you. That's the happily ever after. Thank you, Lyra, very much.
Aww.
And they all lived happily ever after.
The end. Oh wait, no!
Thank you.
Dominator.
Bye-bye. See us at fractalfield.com/
Dominator.
Skywalker Science.
And give us a thumbs up.